November 18th, 1978.
Yesterday in California, the first of dozens of caskets were put beneath the surface of the earth. They are the remains of some of those who died at the Jonestown commune in Guyana.
3 American journalists and a woman were gunned down, murdered by a gang of fanatics.
Locked up by the temple leaders to make it difficult for anyone to leave the country along the
918 men, women, and children, by order of Jim Jones, would drink a fruit cocktail of tranquilizers, sedatives, and cyanide to commit one of the largest mass suicides in known history. But what would lead to this? It would be sometime in 1950 in Indianapolis when this man would create an organization that would later be known as People's Temple. His goal, to create a society that eliminates classes and racism.
He would go on to recruit mostly African Americans, who would later be blackmailed, humiliated, and beaten, forcing them to stay. If they tried to leave, they would be told that the government would go after them.
1960, the temple would become affiliated with the Christian church, and not long after, Jones would be ordained. He would perform these high-energy, joyous sermons inspired by the Black Baptist churches, where he would heal people and tell prophecies.
One of these prophecies were of a nuclear holocaust. The cult would move to California, where they believed they were safe from the apocalypse. People's Temple would begin expanding to the West Coast, and that would lead to temple centers in San Francisco and Los Angeles. We have one of the members from the Los Angeles Temple here to talk about their experiences.
Jim Jones would teach members that he was to be worshipped as the ultimate socialist. He was a deity in our eyes. He would split up family units. Husband and wife would sleep separately. Children as adults weren't allowed to be close with their parents. He would ban sex altogether. The only person that could be close with us was Jim Jones.
What happened if you guys didn't believe this?
Corrective fellowship meetings. It was meetings of intense self-criticism. Essentially brainwashing members into believing they were inferior.
The organization would build up a reputation, which made Jones paranoid. He would begin taking medication, which gave him a quick temper, often going into fits of rage. He would teach the members that they were being watched by the CIA. Jones' outbursts were able to convince 1,000 of his members to Jonestown's Guyana. Here, he was able to create his dream. It was an agricultural, communist society that was free from the social classes and racism, all in the middle of the jungle. His paranoia would still get to him. He still had members practice suicide drills and white nights. These were meetings discussing what should happen if they were under attack, aka talking about how they would kill themselves.
Stateside family members of the cult would begin to concern over their relatives. Congressman Leo J. Ryan of California would travel to Jonestown with critics and journalists to relieve the concerns of the families. All he was supposed to do was inspect the facilities and leave. 16 members wanted to leave with him, so he would bring them along. As he drove back to the airstrip, his car would be attacked by cult members. He would narrowly escape and was immediately rushed to the plane. The cult would launch an attack on the airstrip, killing the congressman and 3 journalists.
Shortly after, Jones would initiate a mass suicide. Children would be fed syringes of poison. Parents would either drink or inject the poison, and armed guards would force every resident to take part in what they called revolutionary suicide. Jones would shoot himself, and it was only after Jonestown that People's Temple became a cult. The other temple centers would disband. Some would be interviewed by the FBI. Jones would be the symbol of a cult leader, and the dead at Jonestown would be brought to California in steel coffins. 410 unclaimed bodies would be laid to rest in Oakland, California at Evergreen Cemetery.
Die with respect, die with a degree of dignity. Lay down your life with dignity. Don't lay down with tears and agony. There's nothing to death. It's like Max said, it's just stepping over into another plane. Don't be this way. Stop this hysterics. This is not the way for people who are socialists, communists to die. No way for us to die. We must die with some dignity.
November 18th, 1978. 918 men, women, and children.
Action.
He would go on to recruit mostly George has humiliated George right on the wall.
It would be sometime in 1950.
Be close with their parents